Hi everyone, Julie is here. I'm glad to see on my channel your Solution, and with you in today's video we'll be sharing an island part 2. So let's begin. I got to the second part of this topic. Having read this first one, I will say that time erased the shock and I won't blush anymore. Well, if for some reason you missed the first issue, be sure to watch it. After my trilogy mentioned in the previous part and Adventures with Neighbors in It, we went to the next house in the wonderful city Abelix, where there are no extraordinary neighborhood other houses. Even the owner of the house we have never seen, because the agency did it at all. And our whole idyll lasted about 6 months, until we again came up with desire to ease our bills. Who would have known in advance that this was a mistake? The house this time was one story. It had separate living room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms, and sadly one toilet. If you go for a joint rent, look for option with at least 2 toilets. Otherwise, it's treating you with what turned out for us. There was a yard and a side and parking for 7 cars, but the main thing is peace and quiet around. First, tenants. The choice fell on a young couple of guys, consisting of an Irishman and Romanian. In general, young people in Ireland rarely move out from their parents, most of them living up to 35 years old until they really want to get married. Good guys, we thought.
The guy was fond of cars and worked in the same field. His girlfriend, by the way, worked in a cafe. Remember this moment, we will need it later. Everyone mentioned friendly relations for about a week. Yeah, until I suspected something, namely the young lady's unwillingness to clean up after herself in the kitchen and in the house in principle. Moreover, in those moments when they saw me cleaning the house, they rather ran into the room and turned on the music and louder. I started to turn on too. Besides, new speakers came. I tried all this for a while, hoping for conscience, but it didn't help.
Plus, remember, this time I was already more experienced and cleaned out the house in the zoned manner without touching something else territory. Thinking that the young lady would come to her senses, nothing happened. They began to avoid my presence. I posted clinic shadow, ignored. Well, who if not me tell you about my experience? And I'm not exaggerating. On the contrary, I smoothed the corners.
This was followed by 2 dirty tricks. A cloth toilet, and not only with paper, a drain in the shower clogged with hair, some strange stripes on the ceiling and walls, a brush going through a bad stage in its life, and it all came from the girl. What kind of hygiene are we talking about? By the way, at the expense of your personal hygiene items, the lesson was learned even from the first house, that if you're renting with someone, it's better to take it to your own bedchamber and keep it out of harm's way. And of course, in response, an endless stream of my dissatisfaction on pieces of paper that simply thoughtlessly tore. And one day they left us a note that we behave like a small children, and blah blah blah, that we are youngsters and so on. Of course, it's flattering when a person is 6 years younger than you, at least have such an opinion, but it's extremely unacceptable. Again, work schedules and so on didn't allow for a showdown, and again, this is a woman's showdown.
And the neighbor, although he worked in service, but seeing that we had a problem, did not offer to help. Although we helped him out at one point. For us, it's normal, friendly relations in the house. By the way, subscribe to my channel, mark the bell in order not to miss new release, and push the button if you like this video. Move on.
And at one point, the Cold War reached its culmination when some kind of ritual dub was seen on the taps, on the walls, on the handles in the bathroom, and it was established where the unpleasant smell was coming from, sprayed with air fresheners and other things. That is, by this moment you should understand that a person specially coated objects of common use with his excrement, so that someone, that is, I, got into trouble. He kept a rag smeared in near the boiler, which was the source of the aromas with which I grumbled so vainly at the sewerage of the house.
I really hope that you don't eat while watching, and there were no health problems. Big man, and that's it. At the moment when the shadow of bang in the house coincided, the young lady began to become hysterical. Her boyfriend took a bucket and wiped off all her rock art. Then they picked it up, loaded into the car, and we never saw them again. But the funniest thing was to read on the young lady's social network that she loves cleanliness, yeah, and also remember the moment that she works in cafe and with what hands she serves people. She really can split in coffee. Ooh, second tenants. After young couple, the choice fell on adult couple, the immigrants of Georgia, 55 years old and older, who said that they just recently arrived in Ireland.
When checking in, it was noticed that they went for an unspeakable number of times for luggage to improve the room, and so it was for 2 days at night. That is, it was very difficult to imagine how everything brewed could fit in the room. But okay, it's none of our business. This is just an observation after bitter experience. And so the couple settled in, and their relatives, who had come from somewhere, who occupied the only toilet in the house and splashed in the shower, began to walk. Immediately, without cold words, it was said to the couple, promised that this would not happen again. But then these guests began to come constantly, as well as the level of arrogance of an adult couple grew. They sat in the kitchen for 3-4 hours without thinking about the needs of others and that their screams could interfere with someone's remote work.
The story ended quickly, and most of the noise was from adult women. That is, the age in the passport is far from being an indicator of intelligence. This is about revising attitude that was in me, that elders need to be respected. Unfortunately, not all and not always.
And imagine the humiliating gesture that the couple constantly used. And only once I used her own technique when this woman went too far and her husband could not stop her. Apparently, from the shock that the little girl poked her finger at her, she went into herself, and the couple went to collect things. They unloaded a huge amount of the same type of household appliances from the room in the light of day, already without hiding what kind of luggage it was. The man made a delay in moving because it was difficult to find a house urgently. But after 2-3 days, they were no longer in the house.
By the way, after saying that they have been living like this in Ireland for more than 10 years, and they have never had such a problem as a memory of themselves, they left a lot of rubbish and a couple of loudspeakers that no longer possible to implement. Conclusion: your neighbors should not be pigs and literally not swim in shit. And of course you need to know who they work for and whether they have a resident card. This experience broke my rose-colored glasses, which with I live in Russia and thinking also about European life. And I'm grateful to the creation of the channel, to that princess of rock art, Larissa. It was after that that I wanted to tell the world about what sharing really is. Well, I said so much, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. See you in the thematic video.